Today is yoga for anxiety. So today we're going to focus on getting really physical, getting strong. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, practicing with us from the Northern Hemisphere, you know the days are getting shorter. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety right now. So we're going to work on, working so hard we're getting rid of some of that excess physical energy. And then we're going to lay down, read from the Radiant Sutras. We are going to work towards inversions today. So a note about inversions. So come on down to your back, start preparing, start landing while I talk. A note about inversions. So I have a chair and a mat set up next to the wall here. If you're going to work on inversions, it's a good idea to have it close by, just as support as you're starting to play. I can't see you, so I can't give cues based on where I think you need more strength. Please listen to your body. The only way to prevent injury is to really listen to where you have strength and not push yourself past where you have strength. So if you've been working with us for a while, you probably have a lot of shoulder and arm and core strength already. So you're probably ready to start lifting up, playing and pulling up, but I'm going to show you how to progress slow. So how to take it easy, take it to a point where you know you feel strong and safe so that you're not flopping. So one of the things you need to look for is when you're pulling into your weight, you're not buckling in your joints. So this is buckling. This is me strong lifting up out of the ground. So we're looking for buckling. If you're buckling, don't go all the way to the inversion. So listen to your body. We're going to show you ways to play at whatever length, at whatever strength you're at. And if you're not ready to play, we're going to let you just have a longer Shavasana. So come on down to your backs. If you're not there already, start to land on the mat. Start to feel your body on the ground in the present moment. So we're really going to focus on shoulders and core strength, arm strength today so that we can get to those inversions. We're going to focus on getting strong, releasing some energy, getting some endorphins pumping. So start to just settle in and find your breath. Start to notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing mostly in your chest, or bringing it nice and slow down into your torso? Check in where you're holding tension in your body. Really just start to get to know how you're feeling, where you're at. And give yourself permission to really be here on the mat. So this is going to be one of those classes where I need to be paying attention to what's going on in the physical body. We're going to build strength. We're going to work hard. And if you're not paying attention, that's when injury can happen. So give yourself a little promise that you're going to let go of the to-do list, the worries. You're going to really be present on this mat and have an internal experience. Maybe you'll find some muscles that feel stronger than you expected or weaker than you expected. Get ready to notice where your tension is held, really having a physical experience today. So start to take some movement through your feet, through your hips, rolling your feet on the ground on the mat. Bring your knees up if they're not already. Starting to roll your knees and hips and feet. Pull your toes towards the shins and then lift the heels. So pulling the toes up, lift the heels. Starting to connect with the muscles of the legs. Starting to feel your base. And then maybe take the heels a little bit further away from the glutes. Pull the toes up and then pull the toes in towards center and then slowly out towards the outside. So in, pigeon-toed, out, outside. Let the legs move as the legs are going to move, but make the movement happen from the foot. Starting to feel the legs, the feet. Maybe even starting to move with the breath. Squeeze in with the exhale, inhale. And Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze in towards center. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze in towards center. Notice if your low back's starting to do any work. Try and keep it in the legs. Soften the face. And then notice if your feet feel tired. Take some little taps with your feet. Notice if your feet, your legs, anything feels tired. Small movement can be quite tiresome on the legs because they're movement and muscles we don't usually particularly work and think about. So then bring your knees above your hips. Push your hips down into the ground. Push your rib cage down into the ground. We're going to bring our feet even with our knees. Fire up the core. So we need to learn to connect for any inversion with the muscles that are really close in towards the spine, the really deep core muscles. We need to find from the tailbone all the way up, as if we're squeezing from the tailbone, pulling our stomach muscles towards the spine and then up as well. So if you are not able to connect with these muscles, bring your fingertips into underneath the ribcage, push down, and really connect with this space. Feel the muscles that are firing up. And trying to keep these muscles working and not the back. Push the hips down, push the ribcage down. Hands to the thighs. We're going to inhale as we lengthen left arm and left leg. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale as we lengthen right arm, right leg. Exhale as we bring it back. This movement does not have to be big. So if you're starting to use your back, make it smaller. You want to use the core muscles. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale as you bring it back. If you lose the attention of the core muscles, bring a fingertip back. Reminding yourself to fire up the core, really keeping it tight in the core and watching if it's starting to come to the head, if your energy is starting to come to the head. Bring your knees in, give yourself a little hug, rock it. Take your feet up towards the ceiling and fire up those core muscles. So again, we want to really fire up, pull the stomach towards the spine, and then again, like you're pulling from this tailbone all the way up the spine, and you're also trying to pull your hip bones together. So there's lots of action going on in the core. Fire up the legs. You can have the toes pulled to the shins or balls of the feet to the ceiling. And we're going to try and think about a really, really tiny movement as if we're trying to pull the hip bone up off the ground, teeny bit, like just trying to slip a piece of paper underneath the hip bone. We're going to use the core to do it. The back will want to do this work, so try not to let the back do it. Try to move, pushing one foot at a time up to the ceiling as if you're trying to pull from the hip bone. So find those deep core muscles. It's a small movement, 1 foot up at a time, pulling towards the ceiling. Maybe even bringing your hands to this space to remind yourself which muscle you're trying to use to pull your hip bone up off the ground. You're not actually making much movement with the hip bone. It's just connecting to this space, connecting to these muscles. Bring your knees in, rock it, reset. Find your breath. Land your feet on the ground, knees up about hip width apart. Keeping your shoulders firmly planted on the ground, chin to the ceiling. We're going to move and breathe. And this time we're really going to think about connecting with the breath and then pushing out a little extra energy. So we're going to inhale as we lift the hips, lift the arms. Exhale as we push down. Take a little pause. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we slowly lower. pushing down. Take a little pause. Inhale as we lift. So trying to use the backs of the legs, the glutes, and all of these core muscles and the front of the legs. So everything is firing up. If you're having trouble feeling the legs fired up, imagine you're squeezing the knees together and pulling them apart at the same time. Again, engaging muscles and making the movement smaller. Soften your neck. Watch for compensation patterns in your neck. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug. Reset. Roll on over, all the way over to the stomach. Crocodile pose. So one hand down on top of the other and forehead down, shimmy the hips. And what can you let go of? So when we think of the core muscles, we need to also think of the back muscles. They also protect our torso, make us stronger, make us safer. So we're going to move and breathe through the back line. Inhale as we lift the shoulders. Exhale as we lower. Hands can be wherever the hands are comfortable. Think about lifting the shoulders, not the head. And think about getting longer in the spine. So rather than a giant arch, we're lifting up out of the ground and getting longer. Maybe starting to lift the feet also. Engage the glutes, the back of the legs. Try to take the tension out of the neck. Moving with the breath and maybe even adding in that gentle pause after the exhale. Bring it up to wherever you're comfortable hovering. Engage. Imagine getting longer from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Inhale in a neutral position. As you exhale, bring an elbow slightly towards a hip. Inhale, neutral. Exhale to the other side. You can keep your hands down from this and make this movement a little bit smaller. We're really thinking about squeezing just the sides of our torsos a little bit more, engaging. Watching for compensation patterns in the neck. Make it smaller if your neck is doing all the work. And then bring it back to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. Let go. Find your breath. So we're going to move into working front line and back line, one after the other. So learning to switch from one to the other. So bring your forearms down first. Start to engage. Forearms are just wherever the forearms are comfortable. Imagine you're pulling the mat apart with your arms. Start to engage. Start to pull your chest back from your elbows. Hollowing out the chest. Engage shoulders. And then we're going to tuck our toes and come up to a forearm plank. So come up slow and controlled. Lots of ways we can do this. You imagine you hollow out the belly, find all those muscles that we were working with in the core, and imagine you're being lifted from the tailbone. You can come up just to knees up, or you can come all the way to forearm plank. Breathe and hold. Engage the forearms. Lift the chest. Pull the chest up out of the ground. Start to get used to that hollowing out feeling. Engage, engage, engage. And then slowly lower all the way down to crocodile. Quick reset, and then straight into engaging all of the back muscles. Lift and hold and breathe. Forearms down, set up, tuck the toes, engage the core first. Pull the tailbone up, hold. Engage the core. Lower down slow, quick reset, and then straight up, lift into all of the back muscles engaged. Again, hands can be down, toes can be down. Find your level of strength. Where can you hold comfortably, but a tiny bit challenged? Breathe. Forearms down. Tuck the toes, pull the tailbone up out of the ground, engaging the forearms, engaging the shoulders. Lift up out of the ground. And then lower slow one more time, all the way up, down, reset, and then all the way up to your back. Muscles engaged, however your hover needs to be, wherever you can hold. Slowly lower the forearms down and set up. Engage. So place the forearms down. Pull the arms apart without letting them move. So this fires up. Whole chest should be strong here. Tuck the toes. Pull the tailbone up, leaving the knees down. Maybe wiggling the knees a little bit closer to the forearms. So now we're focusing just on forearms. Lift the chest up out of the ground. Pull, pull, pull. And then we're going to pull the nose a little bit forward towards the thumbs. And then send the nose slowly backwards towards the knees. Inhale as you slowly draw forward, engaging. So this is me just rolling through my shoulders. This is engaging. So it's better to make this movement teeny tiny than to have some kind of floppy movement just rolling through the joints. So engaged forearms, engaged in the chest. Inhale forward, exhale back. If you are ready to take this to the next level, tuck the toes, lift the knees, hover. Maybe adding that gentle pause after the exhale. Wherever you're at, lower the knees, sink the hips back towards the heels, and let the tension out of the neck. Wherever the head lands, if you need to rest it on an arm. And let the tension out of the arms and shoulders. Breathe. Come back to your forearms engaged. So arms, chest, forearms engaged. You're going to take the weight onto the right arm and take the left hand, even with the shoulders, fingertips down. We're going to inhale as we lift the left arm up. Exhale as we bring it back down. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we bring it back down. So what we're really thinking about is lifting and moving through this right shoulder, just a teeny bit, and through the upper back. So a little twist. Slow, controlled movement. Place the left hand down, engage through the left shoulder, right hand out, tap the fingers, tips down. Inhale, lift and open, exhale, lower. Slow and controlled movement. Thinking about the inside of this left shoulder and a little twist in the upper back. Watch for wiggling too much in the hips. Try to keep a little bit stable in your base. Try not to take this all into the lower back or the sacrum. Bring the right forearm down. Place the forearms down. Tuck the toes and lift the hips. Maybe slowly tiptoeing the toes in towards the elbows. Still lifting up out of the ground with all of the muscles you can find in the arms and shoulders. Slowly lower the knees. Bring the torso up and take some flicks with the arms. Work the shoulders, so flick the arms. Place the hands down, tabletop pose, and then tuck the toes. Send the hips up and work your down dog, warm it up in whatever way feels right for you in this moment. You can sway the head, you can sway the hips, you can bend the knees. Find what feels good. And then find the stillness of down dog, lifting your hips up out of the ground. So there goes the core pull, pulling your hips up out of the ground, out of the wrists. Engaged arms, engaged shoulders. Breathe. Slowly lift the right leg high. Engage the right leg and take a slow circle. And then bend the knee, step through low lunge. Find some movement in your low lunge. So inhaling forward, exhaling towards a straight leg, finding movement, moving and breathing. Inhaling forward, exhaling backwards, and maybe even grabbing your blocks. You can move the hips, you can sway the weight on the foot. Start to really connect with all of the muscles of the legs. And then take a deep inhale as we rise all the way up to high lunge. Find a solid base. Hips facing forward, both legs engaged, hands can come to prayer, heart center. So really lift up out of the ground and sink into the joints. Lift, engage, nice and strong. And we're gonna work with the breath, maybe even fire breath, so a little bit more forceful. We're gonna inhale, lift the arms forward and up. Lengthen the legs. Exhale, bring the torso back and sweep the arms away. Inhale forward. Exhale, sweep. Lengthen, sweep away. Whew, find your balance. Maybe adding a gentle pause at the end of the exhale. Think of energy being drawn in and cleansed out. Push away what you no longer need. And then bring it back to high lunge. Bring your hands to your hips. And then slowly adjust so that your legs are open wide, toes out, heels in, and move through the hips. Start to adjust into goddess shape with the legs. We're going to bring our hands onto our thighs. Not pushing all of our weight onto our thighs, but just hands on our thighs to stabilize us. And bring the torso a little bit forward, and we're gonna practice that hollow out shape. So we're gonna inhale as we draw the chest forward, the sternum forward, and exhale as we pull it backwards. Making all this movement happen from the core. Inhale, exhale, hollow out. The base can move however you're comfortable, let it be flowy, but think about the muscles of the chest and the core. Inhale, open, exhale, squeeze back, pull back. Bring it back to a goddess. Start to land in your legs a little more and start to get taller, taller, taller in the spine, hands to prayer. I'm going to work through the legs, trying to keep the hips solid and stable. So lifting one heel at a time, trying to keep the hips where they are. Hands can be at prayer. You can hold your hips to try and remind you where they are. You can lift the heel just a teeny bit. Start to move through your legs, to strengthen your legs, and engage in the core to keep your hips stable. Maybe even lifting both heels at a time, nice and slow. Really engaging those legs. Finding every muscle you can find in your foot and your leg to engage. Engage the glutes, engage the core. Lower the heels, keep those legs fired up. Find your challenge. If you need to come up and take a shake break, take a shake break. Listen to your body. We're gonna engage the core and think about just a teeny tuck in the pelvis this time. So you're gonna pull the hip bones together and then forward. So really fire up the core. Bring your right hand behind your hip. We're going to push the right hand down and then pull it up. Push down and pull it up. What muscles are we using? These side core muscles are going to start to fire up. So we really want to fire up the core muscles. Right hand down and then up. Right hand down and then up. Left hand down and up. Move with your breath. Push it out. Pull it in. Push it out. And then move side to side. Right hand. Left hand. Legs should be on fire. Core should be fired up. Bring it back. Hands to prayer. Lift up out of the legs and give them a good shake. Straighten up the legs. Let the legs wobble and jiggle. Loosen and soften. Turn the right foot back out and slowly come back to high lunge. Find your high lunge. Find a solid base. So really strong in the legs, pulling up out of the ground. We're going to bring the torso forward. We're going to slowly pop up onto the toes of the left foot and lifting with the heel, engage and lift. Maybe bring the arms out, push the left heel away from you and lengthen the torso. So longer from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Pull, pull, pull into those core muscles. Bend the back leg. Slowly squat down so that both knees come towards each other. And then lengthen. Squat down and lengthen. Squat down, lengthen. Take it slow. Find those core muscles to keep you balanced. Lengthen back to warrior 3. And slow as you can, lower back to high lunge. Frame out the front foot. Send the right foot to meet the left and find high plank. Lift up out of the ground. Hollow out the chest, pull up out of the ground. And we're going to slowly work through pulling the knee towards the elbow. And I note I said pull the knee towards the elbow. So pull from the chest, pull from the core, right knee to right elbow. Back. Inhale as you come, hips back. Exhale as you squeeze knee to elbow. Left knee to left elbow. Right knee to right elbow. Moving with your breath, generating some heat. Let's go. This doesn't have to be a big movement, but you're trying to pull with the core and the chest, that knee forward. We're not just swinging it forward. We're pulling, engaging, finding those core muscles. Lower the knees and find a child's pose. Take a break and reset. What can you let go of? Come on up to a tabletop position. Bring your index fingers and thumbs to touch, making a triangle in front of you on the mat. So you can take this from tabletop. If you're taking it in tabletop, try to imagine pushing down through your knees and then pulling your knees apart without letting them move. That should fire up your glutes and your base. So begin here, feel what it feels like, and then maybe you can move forward. You're gonna bring your torso so that you're taking more and more weight onto the arms, and we're gonna bend into the elbows. So starting to take some weight, little pulses here. Starting to use the upper arms, really trying to use the upper arms, and then if you're ready, tuck the toes, lift the knees. Take a lot of weight in the arms. Use the upper arms nice and strong. Find where you are not buckling, you're using muscles. And then lower the knees. Find yourself a child's pose, reset. Back to down dog. So finding down dog. Catch your breath. Lift up out of the ground. Pull those hips up out of the ground. Use all of those core and chest muscles. Slowly lift the left leg. Moving from the heel, take a really slow circle. Engage left leg as you make the circle. And then bend the knee, step through for a low lunge, moving and breathing in your low lunge. Inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the leg back towards straight. Moving, experiencing, feeling your own leg muscles, your own hip muscles. Moving, breathing. Land in your low lunge. Take a deep inhale as you rise all the way up, high lunge. So find your solid base. Check in on your hips. Get your hips even, your core engaged. Hands to prayer. And then we'll move with the fiery breath. So move with fire breath. We're going to inhale, lengthen, lift the torso. Exhale, sweep it away. Push the breath away. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, sweep and push. Maybe a little pause. Try not to grip the ground with the toes of the left foot. Try to soften the face. Bring it back to high lunge. Bring the weight over the left leg and begin to bring the weight forward. Come onto the toes of the left foot and engage the core. So you're trying to pull hip bones in, stomach muscles in, lengthen through the crown of the head, lift the heel, engage, woo. Hold. Longer in the spine, find your breath, woo. Find your balance. Bend the back knee. Now you're going to slowly squat it down, both knees towards each other, and then lift and lengthen. Small movement, finding your balance, challenging your balance. Lengthen, warrior three. Slow as you can, lower, high lunge. Find your high lunge. Step forward, mountain pose. Lift up, arms overhead with the inhale. Exhale, prayer to heart. Connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale down. Bring it down to mountain pose. Pause. Connect with mountain pose, maybe even closing your eyes and tuning into all the little micro adjustments that happen as you stand on your own 2 feet. Inhale as you press your prayer up overhead, maybe even a little back bend, pushing the hips forward. Exhale as you bring it back down, all the way down. Touch the ground. Left foot steps back, right foot steps back, high plank. Engage. Lift up out of the ground. And then back to down dog. And we're going to play a little in down dog. Playing with floating. So if you're not ready to play with floating, you don't want to do the kicks and floats, go on down to child's pose or crocodile pose and take a restorative rest. We're going to lift the right leg. We're going to practice hopping and lifting. So we're going to lift with the right leg over to the right and over to the left. And we're going to do a little hop with the left leg. So lift and hop, lift and hop. Try to float and land soft on the left leg. Lift and hop. Pull up from the core muscles that we've been using. Engage. Go slow. And then step back. Regular down dog. Take a break. And then other side, we're going to lift the left leg. Again, swinging the leg left and right, and then adding in a little hop. So lifting and hopping, trying to pull up with the core muscles. Land light. Land in a down dog and slowly lower all the way down to child's. Take a break. Reset. we are officially moving into the inversion playtime. So, if you're not ready for inversion, not your thing, feel free to skip, feel free to watch, feel free to take a restorative pose. Otherwise, move along with your body. So, if you have a wall handy, it's one of the best ways to practice just these floaty things and inversions. So I already have mine set up next to the wall. So the first thing we're going to do is play with that hopping. And you're going to do it from handstand with the wall. So first thing you're going to do is place your hands down in down dog and lift up out of the ground and start to bring your weight over your hands. So you're going to pull your weight over your hands. Start to feel bringing your torso forward. Pull. So you're going to hollow out, pull that cat position with the chest strong in the core. Pull the weight over your hands. Maybe this is where you're at. Maybe this is where you feel you need to stay. Lift up and pull. Lift up and pull. If you have a chair, another thing that you can do is have the chair behind you. So you're going to place your feet onto the chair. Place your hands down, lift up and pull, and then place your feet onto the chair. So now you're starting to lift up your hips, bend the knees, lift up the hips. Bend the knees, lift up the hips. And maybe you're ready to lift a leg. Start to feel like lifting one leg at a time, what it feels like. Play. Start to really play, see where you're at. And if your arms are strong, you feel you're ready to feel a little play. Remember when we were children and we were kicking into handstand without fear. So start by bending one knee and kicking up the other leg just as we were before. Kick and lift, nice and slow. Kick, pull. Kick and pull up. Pull, pull, pull. Hold, lift, slowly lower. So find where you're at. If you are ready to start moving into forearm, you do the same things. You find your forearms down on the ground, start to engage, start to bring the hips closer, move slow, build slow. So forearm stand, much more important to watch for buckling. So you want to get the forearms down and pull up as strong as you can because you don't want your head coming towards the ground when you're not strong enough to hold yourself. So pull your forearms down on the ground, pull your forearms apart so they're really engaged. You're not going to let them move. Really strong in your forearms. And then start to bring the hips forward. Start to bring your whole weight onto your forearms and start to really pull up out of the ground. You can use the chair. Bring your feet onto the chair just as I showed you with handstand. Or if you're ready to start kicking up, the same thing. Lifting up out of the ground first and then kicking up. Slow, controlled. Once you kick up and land on the wall, you have to pull up out of the shoulders. Pull, 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 pull. Slowly land. It's hot in here and I'm tired. So, I hope you're having fun with your inversions still. See where you're at. See where your strength is at. And when you're done, bring your hands to prayer and put your prayer hands onto your forehead. So you can take this laying down in crocodile shape or in a child's pose shape, but just connect with the forehead because we were inverting. So inverting I'm going to settle things back down and just focus in on the center point of your forehead. Let your breath slow. If you generated a lot of heat and you're feeling hot or feeling tired, try breathing in through your mouth in an O shape or rolling your tongue. Breathe in and breathe out through an O shape, cooling breath. And then come to a comfortable seat, maybe even sit on your chair. And we'll just connect back in with the breath. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, prayer down to our heart. Nice and slow, connecting with the breath. Inhale up. Exhale, draw it down to our heart. Bring your prayer down to your heart. Feel your hands in the center of your chest. Soften the shoulders and base and breathe. Notice what is different than from when you started the class. Then slowly make your way down to your backs. Have feet down, knees up, and take a slow, soft wiggle through the hips. Bring the heels a little bit further away from the glutes. Let the hips really land on the ground. Pull the toes back to the shins and then move side to side with the feet. Feet go left. Feet go all the way to right. A little bit different than what we did at the start. Left and right. Muscles engaged. Feel your feet. Feel your legs. Try to keep the hips on the ground, but let the legs move however they move. Try to have an experience in the legs. And then pedal out the feet. Pushing one down, pulling one up. Finding the muscles of the feet and the legs. And then let the feet and legs and hips land soft, everything's soft. Bring the hands down towards the hips. Press the palms into the ground. And we're going to take the weight left and right across the shoulders. So we're looking for wiggles. We're looking for that somatic shake. So shake, 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 shake. Let the movement happen. Loosen up and soften the shoulders. Left and right, as fast as you can. Try to wiggle like jelly. Across the shoulders. Loosen and soften. Take a deep breath in and with the exhale, land. Take both arms towards the ceiling, so hands towards the ceiling, and then just pick up one shoulder at a time. Let it plop down, wiggling the shoulders themselves. Trying to make sure we loosen and soften, release any tension. We work the arms and shoulders hard. Inversions, work the arms. Trying to make sure we toss away any of the tension we built up. Let the arms soften down, and then take a wiggle at the hips, trying to loosen and soften the hips and the legs, all the muscles of the legs. And then let that go. Find the pose you want to be in for your resting pose. Maybe your feet are down, knees are up, and the knees fall in towards each other, making softness for your low back. Maybe place something in underneath your knees like a cushion. Feet can be on a chair, they can be up against a wall. Find the place that you want to be. That is a resting pose, not a stretching pose. Start to land. Start to have a full physical experience. So checking in, how do you feel? What feels different when we started? What felt weak? What felt strong? What surprises were there? So the yoga practice is supposed to be a practice that helps us with a practice for life. So some of these harder things that we challenge ourselves to do in yoga, we don't have to do them. That doesn't have to be the yoga journey that you take. There's no right or wrong. Like the teachings say, there are many paths, one goal. So one of the paths you can take is set up these extraordinary goals for yourself. Like when you first begin, maybe it's just getting to a sturdy down dog. Maybe you want to work up to a crow pose. Maybe you want to work up to a warrior 3 balance. Maybe you want to work up to a tree pose. You set little goals and you work towards them and you learn about yourself along the way. And that's the whole goal. So learn about yourself along the way. So what did you learn today? What did you learn about your physical body? What did you learn about perhaps fear? As you are hopping up, do you have a lot of fear? Do you have a lot of your cognitive head starts to stop you, even though your muscles might be ready? So it's all a journey, an exploration of what's going on. It's not about what I can do or what your neighbor can do or what anybody else can do on their mat. It's about having experiences, having little challenges, finding little journeys on our mat to see where we're at, how we're doing, what we might learn. And maybe the pose is just an ego pose. Maybe there's some beautiful, like a dancer pose. It's a beautiful expression, and we want to move to this beautiful expression. And there's nothing wrong with expression and grace and ego. It's a journey. It's all part of ourselves, and we're all learning about these things. And it's not distasteful to push yourself towards a goal or something pretty or something that makes you you're just doing it because it makes you feel strong, makes you feel good. So really checking in on how you feel physically. Noticing your muscles, noticing what your head's doing. Starting to loosen, starting to soften. Starting to let go of control of even the breath. Softening the muscles of the face. Sometimes when we work really hard, we pull a lot of stress into our face. So check in. Soften the face. Softening and gripping around the jaw, around the teeth. Soften the tongue in the mouth. Soften around the eyes. Soften the shoulders into the ground and let the chest release the burden of holding the shoulders. And then we'll move from the physical to more the spiritual. So as you melt into the ground and let go, I'm going to read from the Radiant Sutra. And these beautiful books and the teachings of yoga were written a long time ago in a poetic language and have been translated 1,000 times. The goal is not to comprehend with the cognitive head, but to hear from the spiritual self, the heart center. And it's also, again, take what you need, leave what you don't. Maybe you like somebody else's translation better than the ones that I read. There is nothing wrong with that. So now we move towards the spiritual center, the heart center, letting go of the physical, moving towards the internal center. The radiance of space permeates the body, and in all directions simultaneously, space is always here. already here before you're noticing of it. What we call space is a presence, permission to exist, and worlds within which to express. Without thinking about it, without forming mental images, rest in this vast expanse. Friends with infinity. See if you can find that spaciousness inside. And at first seems like dark emptiness, but then seems like a hum, like a life force. If you have time to take, please spend more time in your resting pose. Take the time that you need. If you need to finish up on the 60-minute mark, we're getting close. So begin to bring gentle movements to the fingers and the toes, and eventually curl up in a fetal position on whatever side is calling to you. Still thinking about that center space, connecting within to the bliss center. Taking just a few more breaths in this sacred space, free from yesterday and tomorrow and the outside world. Just rest here as if recharging. And then trying not to awaken yourself fully. Come on up to a seated position and bring your hands to prayer at heart space. Connect with this gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. Feel the strength and power of connecting within, drawing down below the thoughts, below the outside world towards the heart center. As if you can recharge and regain some strength from this center space. And the more that time you spend in this position and connecting with this being a sacred space position for you, the more that you can come to it whenever you need. You can drop into this pose, park your car, take a prayer. You can sit down on a chair at work. You can take a little break anywhere in your house at any moment in time, connecting with this position, drawing in towards the heart center as if recharging. And then bring your prayer to your forehead. And imagine sending out a little kindness, compassion, and inner strength to somebody you think may need it. It can be somebody that you know. It can be somebody that you know of. It can just be imagining sending it out into your community. Imagine drawing from your own heart center and sending it out towards someone else who might need some of this inner strength and protection. Wrap someone in kindness and compassion. Send it out.